Hello, hello. Welcome to another live session. I am the editor-in-chief of the Watercraft Journal. My name is Kevin Shaw. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We do not have a guest tonight, as you might have seen in the announcements. Today is a little bit more of an old school sit down and BS rap session, and that's okay. If you are new to what the Watercraft Journal is, we are first and foremost a personal watercraft jet ski magazine, but we are entirely digital. We're at www.watercraftjournal.com, where new articles are written and published every day, Monday through Friday, entirely subscription free to you. So there's no downloads, there's no passwords, there's no stupid PDFs you have to upload and look through and all the Mickey Mouse stuff that a lot of digital publishers use. We do not. We simply bring up the magazine. In fact, I'll show it to you right now, where new articles are written and published every day, Monday through Friday. And as long as you have a Wi-Fi signal, you can read the magazine. And that has been what has propelled the Watercraft Journal into becoming the world's most popular personal watercraft magazine. Whether digital or print, we have more readership than anybody else. And for the most part, we talk general. We talk to the general enthusiast. We do get the hardcore racer who tunes in, as we do a lot of event coverage and race coverage, but we're not doing a lot of heavy duty builds. We're not doing a lot of heavy duty modifications on personal watercraft. You're not going to see hardcore tech or hardcore racing as you might in other outlets, only because we're talking to the vast majority, 98% of the personal watercraft owning market. So that is a little bit about the tone and spirit of the personal of the Watercraft Journal. The YouTube channel, although was always with the Watercraft Journal, it was not a primary focus really until about 5 years ago, where we really started pushing video production. And with that video production, we also segued into what became a routine weekly live session. And this is what we're doing tonight. In these live sessions, you can enter into the chat. If you have a question for me, you can put up a super sticker, super fan, or a super chat. A super chat is a donation and a question, and I will bring up your question up on the screen so everyone can see, and I will answer your questions for you live here tonight. But that is a little bit about who we are. For you guys who are new, this is your first time tuning in, I want to give you a quick little recap of who we are and what we do. As you might can see, my hair's still wet. I took a nice hot shower after working. I am busy patching and resealing our I believe 52-year-old driveway. And even though it's freezing cold outside, I still got pretty worked up. Everyone, say hello to Billy. Billy Duplessis is here. Cheers to Billy. Everyone take a drink. Outstanding. In fact, I need to preemptively, and this actually segues into the next thing I want to talk about. First, I need to turn on the lamp. I need to preemptively apologize. I have to preemptively apologize to Billy, and that is because this Thursday our fall Mudbug coverage goes up. And I don't know why, and I don't know what came over me, but in recording the script and in recording the voiceover for our coverage for Fall Mudbug, I just randomly mentioned that I was riding alongside Billy in his FCR, and that was not the case. It was not Billy. It was David Pate, and just had a total brain fart. So Billy is there's an Easter egg in this coming footage or this coming video for the fall Mudbug, where I say I'm out riding with Billy Duplessis on his Yamaha, and it's David Pate on his red Yamaha. So anyway, I wanted to. It's actually in my notes that I had to apologize to Billy for randomly throwing them in there. So that was super random. But yes, yeah, it's not Billy, it's David, and so anyways, yes, the Mudbug coverage is finally done. It is all uploaded. It's ready to roll. It's 18 and a half minutes long. It's a nice, fun one. We also had to pay for licensing for Well in Spirit. Very good. We also had to pay licensing for a bunch of Zydeco music. So because we wanted to have local flavor. So we got some music for the video. And there is a very, very funny, very self-deprecating little Easter egg during the end credits that I talked about in a previous live session. And that was, it's in there. So we put that in there for fun. Upcoming videos, the Sand Docker review. After a year, I decided, oh yeah, hey, I need to do a Sand Docker review. That'll be a short little fun one. I personally am a big fan of it. It is 100% American made. It is the most affordable, easy to use, uncomplicated, American made anchor available today. No one can beat it. All right. It's not overcomplicated. It's not some electroplated, laser cut, CNC whoop-de-doo. It is a very simple, all aluminum, rust-free, very, very easy to use, American-made anchor. And I feel very strongly in supporting American companies and supporting local economy. And I still am a very big fan of the Sand Docker. So that'll be a good one. And after that is a Strapino video, which is hilarious because it has nothing to do with jet skis. It's me strapping down engines and all sorts of stuff in the bed of my truck. And I'm like, these are great. I like these. These are fantastic. And so that's a hilarious video that I know it's not what Strapino wanted, but I'm like, hey, I really like these. I really like these ratcheting straps. I'm not using them for jet skis. Oh, by the way, we did get quite a bit of support from, is it Hobie or is it a hard J or a Latino J, Spanish J? Hobie or Job 0505. Thank you very much for the support. Really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. If you have a question, you have thrown in quite a bit. So if you do have a super chat, I'm happy to answer your question as well. All right. What else is coming up? So taking a little break from doing week after week of inviting guests on. We have some really great people coming up. And I kind of don't want to leak it out only because, quite frankly, I don't want anyone trying to rip me off. And there's people who watch this who apparently lack any sort of creative bone in their body and have to rip off what we do. And it's unfortunate because I'm really excited because I've got corporate coming in. And corporate's coming in, and they have teased they are going to be using the Watercraft Journal to make a major announcement. So that is something really exciting. I also have possibly one of the most talented jet skiers, both runabout and sit down, actively racing and participating today. I've known him since he was a very young man, probably 17 years old. I've known him personally since he was about 17, 18 years old, and really, really excited to bring him on. He's a great representative of his sponsors. I'm going to announce them tomorrow and we'll put them up on the we'll put the announcement up on Facebook and on Instagram, but and here on the channel as well in the community. But the next two guests are going to be really, really awesome. And I'm afraid that a lot of people are like, dude, I'm not into racing. I don't really care about racing. So why am I going to tune in? And I think if that's your mentality, I think you're missing the mark a little bit. And I'll tell you why. I bring in these top level athletes first because I know them and I think they're impactful to the sport and to the industry. Craig Warner was in. I brought in Craig Warner. He was our first guest or second guest, obviously, Greg Gaddis. But Craig, I brought in Craig because Craig was so instrumental in the development of high performance offshore race products. You know, with the turbo setup for the Ultra and all of these other add-on parts and accessories. And Craig was a major player. Craig's since retired, and that's fine. And I'm very proud that he's coaching his son into getting into auto racing. I'm very happy for him. I'm very proud of what the man he's become. He's a really solid dude. But Greg Gaddis is making huge headway and making aftermarket performance parts and testing aftermarket performance parts. And we have some really verifiable, awesome, repeatable speeds that he's getting out of an RX-PX and now out of his GP after he rebuilt the engine. And so bringing him in, I thought was very appropriate. And then, of course, talking with Craig, the next guy I'm bringing in, this guy is so well-rounded and articulate with when it comes to the machines and is able to really add a lot to both the casual sit-down rider as well as the super aggressive stand-up rider, as well as the guy who's into vintage stand-up skis. He's into vintage sit-downs. He's got a super chicken that he races. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then, of course, the representative from corporate I've known since I was 28, 29 years old and 44 now. So this gentleman is, I consider a friend. This gentleman has been absolutely a really huge asset to the industry. And so those announcements will be made the Tuesdays after each one. I would love to share who they are. But again, there are people who tune into this channel who can't think of doing anything original and so have to mimic what we do here at the Watercraft Journal. And it just sucks because it would be really, really fun. And, I'm excited to share it. Like it's like a parent who's bought the toy that your kid wants for Christmas. And you're like, oh my gosh, I want to tell you, I'm so stoked. I'm excited. I'm more excited than you are. And I want to share that. But again, there's just some really, people are people, right? So anyhow, so that being said, we've got our guests. I do have a bit of an announcement is that I will be, the second week of April, I have been invited to come out and ride with Kawasaki to ride the new Ultra 160 LX and 60 LXS. That ride will be really cool, just to be able to ride these machines in a long, a full day long form experience. I'll be doing video recap and reviews on both of those machines as well. So that'll be part of it. And we'll be able to get those videos out to you pretty quickly. I'm excited for those. And hopefully they don't take me nearly as long as some of these videos have over this winter break. It's just been kind of a slow slog for me in the last few months. But yeah, I'm going out in April. I hope to have the first of those review videos by the end of April and the second thereafter. It typically takes about 2 weeks to put a review video together. So that's my usual turnaround. All right, so we got that out of the way. And okay, we got a couple questions here. Christopher, let's see, we're going to show this. It's not a super chat, but it's a good question. Did you see the news today on the tar form jet ski in the news? It's electric. No, I have not. Christopher, or anyone who has a link to it, why don't you email me the link at info@watercraftjournal.com. I'd love to check it out, see what see what the story is on that thing. And then we got 2 super chats here. So let's get these out before I get into the other thing. All right, here we go. Hobie writes, I worked out how much to get a message through. Woohoo. Jace from Sydney, Australia. Work sponsons for ST3 are a much cheaper option in Australia. How do they compare to Riva? Very good question. We actually did a side-by-side review of the Works versus the Riva versus stock, but we did it on the FX. And so it's a little apples to oranges, and I want to be fair with that. I have not tested the Work sponsons on the STX. All right. I've tested the PWC Art sponsons on the STX, and I'd rather rivet cinder blocks to the side of the ski. They did not work very well on the STX, and they worked even worse on the RXPX. And that's a little bit where Anthony Raditic and I differed on that. And I know he played a part in the testing. So I wasn't gonna, no, dude, those are trash. If they work for him and he's happy with them, they work for him and he's happy with it. I don't think they work very well. And, he races and wins championships. I sit on my ass and write stories about jet skis. But to your question, Jace, the reason why we found better results with the Riva sponsons over the Work sponsons was the Work sponson is a very large, unbroken blade. Let me move over here. That blade is producing a lot of drag. All right. It's producing a lot of drag. And those sponsons, if put down low, will slow your ski down. We've seen it with the sponsons on the Riva sponsons slow the RXPX down. I know that's not an ST3. But why the Riva sponsons are demonstrably, significantly over the top, multisyllabic word, big adjective, why they're so much better, in my opinion, and in my testing, and what we found with other people writing, was the ST3, the hull itself. Let's use my water bottle as the hull. All right, here's the nose, here's the stern, is that the ST3 in its natural form wants to turn typically on that real sharp keel up here in front. All right. The problem is that the back is so stinking flat that if it's turning, if it's doing all of its directional off of the nose, that means the tail is wagging. The tail is loose. All right. It's a flat bottom in the rear and it's loose. So that is why you see people washing out and you get the feeling of the nose directing the ski. Okay. That's what the hull is doing naturally. What the ST3, what any good ST3 sponson will do is provide more bite in the water, provide bite in the water, traction in the water, and it will help change or help emphasize the proper pivot point, or pivot point is where on the boat does it like to steer? Does it like to pivot? Does it like to pivot off the nose? Does it like to pivot off the tail? Does it pivot in the middle? Where does it pivot? All right. I will tell you this, the Yamaha FX really likes the pivot point back towards the rear. All right. Right about the front of the ride plate, right around there. Now, when they went to SMC fiberglass and it gained a bunch of weight, they found that the ski wanted the pivot point further forward. That is why Yamaha moved the sponsons 2 inches or 3 inches forward. Okay, because the weight changed the hydrodynamics of the hull of the Yamaha. So now the pivot point's up here. It's towards the middle. Okay. The ST3 previously wanted to steer up in the front. The deepest part of the Riva sponson is because it's stepped. You guys know that it's stepped. It step. Okay. It's deeper in front and it goes middle and then it goes high. All right. The deepest part is in the front of the sponson. Where's the front of the sponson? Right at the intake grate. Let's pretend this pinch, this little narrow waist of the bottle is where the intake grate is. It moves the pivot point right here. All right. The most traction is here instead of here. So now it's biting in this natural spot. What does Works do? The Works sponson is just a big honking blade. All right. And that blade is not doing anything, does nothing to move the pivot point. All it is doing, because it is a big slab of polymer, it's an unbroken blade of polymer. All it does is make drag. Okay. It's going to slow down the ski. You're going to get traction, but you're not getting the benefit of changing the pivot point on the ski. That is a very long answer, but it is a detailed answer because I want to give you as much information as I possibly can. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that was worth the dollars that you provided. So thank you very much. All right, we have another super chat. This one is from Cliptic. Cliptic writes, is it worth paying an extra $500 to get a Triton trailer with torsion suspension instead of leaf spring? Highway driving mostly. I am a firm believer in torsion bar suspension over leaf spring. I am a big supporter of torsion bar suspension over leaf spring. And I'll tell you why. Torsion bar suspension does not have wrap. All right. WRAP. Okay. Wrap is a lot of guys in drag racing who used old leaf spring cars would find leaf springs would bind and they would pinch and they would spring out. They would do this when traction was, when you were doing a burnout or the tires were starting to hook, the leaf spring would go whoop, and it would bind up, it would lift up the back of the car, and then it would spring. Okay, and that would give you wheel hop. All right. Obviously, your jet ski trailer is not going to do a burnout. You're not gonna have axle wrap. You're not gonna bind that up and have wheel hop. But you will from a launch, from leaving the drag strip. Okay. So you're going, oh, this has nothing to do with jet ski trailers. It does. Because leaf spring, and that's why the majority of modern trucks have finally migrated away from leaf spring suspensions, is that leaf springs, when they extend and when they lay out, or when they lay out flat and when they extend, what's happening is you're getting this harmonic. All right. Have you ever been driving a leaf spring? Have you ever been driving and have a leaf spring trailer behind you and that trailer is just bouncing? Your truck's not bouncing, but your jet ski trailer is just going nuts. And you're like, what the hell? All right. It happens all the time. And when you're down in going across all the bayous, you're going across, the panhandle of Florida, you go across Mobile, you're going into Louisiana, because what's happened is that they make those bridges, or, those low bridges over the water, they make them in sections. And even though they could be flat, and they could be as flat as an ironing board, what's happening though is that you're getting a harmonic because you're driving over the sections. And when you get that harmonic, the leaf spring will bind and extend. You have energy the energy is moving through that leaf spring. And so when that energy releases, the ski bucks up, or the trailer bucks up. And then you hit another one of those dips and it binds again, and then it bounces up. And so it never gets a chance to equalize. And so the whole time the trailer is bouncing your brains out going down the road. So why I personally am a big believer in torsion bar is because torsion bar is separate. It equalizes better, and you don't get wrap. All right. A torsion bar is tensile steel. All right. It's tempered tension steel, and it's not going to wrap like you would get in on leaf springs. All right. That is really why. And that's why it's more expensive, because it's a superior riding suspension. I hope that answers your question, Cliptic. Thank you very much for the super chat. All right. I think, Cleve Shellhorn, did you have a question? I see that you made a super chat, or you made a donation, but I want to make sure that I didn't miss out on a comment. Oh, here we go. Cleve's question. All right, let's bring this up. He writes, I'm picking up a 2023 FX Limited SVHO in the morning. Should I change the impeller? If so, what one? No, leave the impeller alone. Leave the ski alone. Leave it alone. Why would you modify it? If anything, I would leave your ski alone. I would leave your ski alone. That's really the best thing that I can suggest is just leave it alone. I think you'll be fine. You don't need to change the impeller. You don't need to do much of anything else. If you want, you could do I modify because I like to mess with things. Well, okay, listen. It depends on how fast you're planning on going. I mean, you could do a stage 2 build on it, and to be honest, right now, I'm seeing through Green Hulk the best, most repeatable. Well, Riva and then Green Hulk proves it. They're doing a stage 2 tune. They do the air ribbon delete. They do the cold air kit. They do the intake the intake update. They do. Is it a 1318 or is it a 1320 impeller for the stage 2 kit? Because if you go and do the impeller first, you're going to be tacking out, and you're not going to get the speed you want. But if you want to do 82 miles an hour, 83 miles an hour, I would look at Riva's Stage 2 if you're looking at going in low 80s. But frankly, I would just kind of do the stock 8000 tune and take the air ribbon out and run 77 all day long. That ski will do 75 to 77, depending on how much you weigh. Ran out of air. Depending on how much you weigh and your altitude and the air temperature. I mean, everyone's, your results may vary. But yeah, if you're looking to gain more speed, then I would look at stage 1 or stage 1 plus. Stage 1 plus is a nice in between. You're not going bananas. And then if you really got to be the fastest guy on the water because your hair is on fire, then I would check out stage 2. But personally, dude, I've been fast. I've had 80-mile-an-hour skis. I've been thrown off at 77 miles an hour. I'm 44. I got kids. I don't want to put my kids on a ski that goes 80 miles an hour. So, you can't get rid of cavitation on a Yamaha. Ever. They cavitate. Cavitate. It's like saying I want a classic Mopar muscle car that doesn't have electrical problems. All right, and yeah, I'm talking trash. All right, I actually have one more thing to talk about before I got into the real lesson. Or not lesson, but the real topic. I have a couple more weeks left with the Ultra 310 LX, and I'm thinking I want to do a golf ride in late April. And I think that's when I have to turn the ski back in because they're going to make me turn that ski back in so that I can get the orange 160 LXS. I'm going to have the orange 160 this year from Kawasaki. So all that being said is I'm looking for a fun golf ride. I was hoping Billy could help me find something fun to do. And if we get that word out, we can get a bunch of people to show up. I'll give out a bunch of stickers and t-shirts and we can make a fun ride out of it. I like long rides. I like rides that get both in the ocean and glass. And Steven, that's pretty funny. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's a lot of people have been asking me, hey, are you ever going to do rides again? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not. I mean, dude, I get like 5 or 6 people who show up and they're like, this is too long and there's too many miles and this is rough and you're asking to go too fast and oh man. And I'm like, I want to ride with guys who like want to be sore the next day. So I've done Miami to Bimini, yes. And I did it on the way back. I did it in a squall with 50-mile-an-hour winds and stinging rain. And yeah, I've done Miami to Bimini. And I'm not doing Miami to Bimini trips anytime soon. So that's because I ride with dinosaurs. I burn a lot of dinosaur oil. I burn a lot of dinosaurs. Actually, we all know hopefully you guys have been educated in the fact that oil does not come from dinosaurs. It is a natural resource that does regenerate. So anyways, but yeah, I'm looking at doing a golf ride. I want to get some people down with that one. I really hate the fact that I had gotten sick a year before in doing that New Orleans ride that Billy helped, Pretty Ricky and Billy helped do. And I almost kind of want to try that one again. And if Billy's down and Billy's still here and listening to my voice, then I wanted to. You're exactly right, Mike. You're 100% right. I'd like to put that one again. So, all right, good. Let's get into today's thingy. Today's topic. All right. So yeah, I'm not going to do fall Mudbug or spring Mudbug. I want to do something different. So I would prefer to do something different, Billy, than spring Mudbug. I prefer to do kind of a fun route. I would even try. Let's try the Nolans ride. If you want to try Nolans again, I'll do Nolans again. Or if you want to do Mobile, let's do Mobile. Or if you want to do the Panhandle, let's do Panhandle. I'm game. You know, you have a handful of routes that you've done a bunch of times. I mean, dude, count me in. But I got to get a good ride in on this Cowie before I give it back to him. I don't want it sitting there and just going, yeah, I only put 11 hours on it. That's nothing. So let's come up with something. All right. This year marks 10 years of the Watercraft Journal. And what the premise of the Watercraft Journal was at first to really kind of put the band back together again, because Personal Watercraft Illustrated was the longest running print magazine since 1988. And unfortunately, it closed January 1st, 2010. And that was really hard for me. I was really bummed about that. And because, I was the editor at the time. And a lot of, I made really good friends there, and I really enjoyed what I was doing. And we really, really, we really kicked ass. So what really sparked my interest was a lot of people got screwed, and it wasn't just me and the guys who worked there when PWI closed. A lot of people who had bought subscriptions got screwed because they basically were told to pound sand. They weren't going to get their money back. A lot of freelancers got really screwed over. They never got the money they were owed, and for work that they had produced. And guys like Ronnie Mac wrote for me for 3 years straight. I got Ronnie Mac writing, which was kind of tough because, boy, that guy can't write. But he was writing articles and taking pictures for us and really getting some good content out. Vasilis, I'm going to butcher his last name, Moriadis, from Greece. He was an outstanding contributor for us. Patrick Mell wrote a bunch of stuff for us from the APBA. Had a lot of really, really great guys. And it was just a lot of fun working with some really awesome people. And by 2013, I had all the pieces set up to start a new publication. So in fall of, well, actually it was late fall. It was the World Finals of 2012. I went to finals with my former sales publisher, who was going to be our new publisher we had named it Watercraft Performance. And it was going to be a little bit more racy. It was going to be a little less mellow, like Watercraft Journal. I would say Watercraft Journal is a little bit more mellow. And we went to finals and we hit up everybody. And they were like, dude, you're putting PWI back together again, just different name. They're like, sign us up. I had HydroTurf, Jet Trim, Riva, Sea-Doo, Yamaha, Cowie. Everyone was on board. They're like, hot damn, dude, Kevin and these guys are bringing the magazine back. But it was going to be digital. And as soon as we launched, January 1st, 2013, everyone was on board. And we went from 100 people a day to 5,000 people to we were doing close to 20,000 people a month. And when PWI closed, we had about 18,500 subscribers. And we were inching up on beating that number. And that was awesome because it was like, okay, we're beating the old numbers. And around July of that year, the partners said, we're out. We want out. We don't like this. We're out. I'm like, we're literally making money, and businesses typically don't make a profit in their first year. And we were making a profit. Wasn't much, but we were squeaking by on a profit. Well, it turned out that the investors owed like 7 figures to the IRS. So anyways, yeah, that was really rough. And then the guy that I brought over from PWI wanted out, and he tried to squeeze me out, and I was like, well, here's the problem. I own the domain name, and I'm the magazine. I'm the one doing all the work. I was producing video. I was producing articles. I was doing the interviews. It was me. I'm the magazine. And we had freelancers, don't get me wrong, but I was making the trains run on time. And so when they wanted out, I said, well, I'm going to start over again. And there's no non-compete that can hold an inch of water because I brought everything to the table. And so I just changed the name of Watercraft Performance and changed the layout, and we called it the Watercraft Journal, like the Wall Street Journal, the Watercraft Journal. That's why it's WCJ instead of WSJ. Wall Street Journal, Watercraft Journal. That was the whole idea. All right. So we started up. I still got old issues with PWI. That's funny. So anyways, Watercraft Journal just got rebranded in November of that year. And a lot of people were like, whoa, what's up? And thankfully, Sea-Doo and Yamaha and Cowie, those guys are like, we get it. It sucks. Don't worry about it. We're still on board. So that was good. And I had good relationships with these guys, and we just carried forward. And that was really the end of it. I think there was like a 4-week hiatus between the two of them. So the biggest thing for me when it came to Watercraft Journal, and why I'm even talking about this, and guys are like, well, talk about jet skis. Don't talk about yourself, was the big thing with the whole magazine. What I should lean over this way because I feel like I'm leaning off camera. Well, anyway, so let me tell you about this. So I'm over here. The problem is I'm left-handed, so I lean left. Was the magazine was always meant to be a team. It was always meant to be a handful of guys, small team, 3 or 4 writers, myself, web admin, sales, and administrative. So effectively 9 of us. And that was always kind of the meat and potatoes of the magazine. It was always meant to be a team, and it wasn't meant to be the Kevin Shaw show. That was never. In fact, I wanted to back up and just be sales because there's more money in sales. The problem is that the personal watercraft industry, the world of personal watercraft, does not have a lot of people who are really motivated. It doesn't have a lot of people who want to grind. It's too casual. All right. I would always make the joke that, if you and I were to sit down on a park bench in the middle of the lunch area of a high school, we could point out like, okay, that kid's a skateboarder. That kid is into heavy metal. That kid's a football player. That kid is a surfer. That kid, you could kind of tell. You wear it, you show it. It's like, oh, their hair's all spiky, or they're preppy and they're in a polo shirt or whatever. And you could point it out. And I laugh because I go, show me what a jet skier looks like. Huh? What's a jet skier look like? It doesn't have an identity. It did during the 80s. Did. During the 80s and 90s, there was. But not so much. And that was really difficult, was that this is a hobby that does not have a defined identity. It doesn't. So it was just difficult for us to kind of emulate or build an edifice of this is what a jet skier is supposed to be or look like. And all that being said, I struggled because I was trying to build a publication that appealed to this imaginary person. I was like, who is this guy? Well, the problem is that a jet skier, when I came into jet skiing, was 24 years old. And he wrote a stand-up. and he wore board shorts and a tank top and had wraparound Oakley sunglasses. And there was a look. And then when by the time PWI closes and Watercraft Journal starts, the average buyer is 51 years old. Huh? You talk to any manufacturer, the average buyer is 51 to 55 years old. It's not a kid. It's not a guy in his 20s. Not. All right. Now, mind you, stand-ups account for stand-ups account for less than 2% of total watercraft sales. So there is. That's it. And so you couldn't, you couldn't say this is the one thing. This was the one guy. And that was the end of it. That was the really hard argument, because I wasn't going to talk to 1.8% of the market. Talking to 1.8% of the market is a quick way to go broke. And I wasn't going to do that. This was going to be a career, and that was the end of it. So I was really struggling in building the Watercraft Journal and building that team and building that voice, because I was riding skis that were $16,000, sit downs. They weren't appealing to 25-year-old guys. Just wasn't happening. The guy, the 25-year-old guy is like, if I want to sit down, it's going to be an FZR, or it's going to be an old GP 1300R, or it's going to be an RXP. So that was, okay, cool. That's fun. That's exciting. But I also have to review the GTX 155. I also have to review the GTI 135 or 130. And I have to review I have to review the boring stuff too. So it was really tough. It became, listen, if we're going to review product and we're going to test product, it can't just be racy. Because now I got 45-year-old women going, hey, listen, I'm going to go buy a Yamaha, but I'm not interested in an SVHO. I want an HO. I want fuel mileage. I want storage. How dry is it? Is it comfortable? Can I plug my phone into something? Oh, okay. So we had to go where the meat was. You had to go where the people were. Does that make sense? All right. That's why Watercraft Journal rocketed ahead of other magazines, because other magazines were only talking to racers, or they were only talking to stand-ups, or they were only talking to whatever. And we tried to put up the largest tent that we could. Well, the largest tent that we could meant that we had to back off on a bunch of stuff. All right. Well, that was fine. And that got us a lot. That got us a lot of readership. I mean, it really did. And we were doing pretty good. By 2015, watercraft sales were really ratcheting up. People started having a little bit more cash in their pocket. 2013 was slow. 14 was slow. 15 started getting exciting. 16 got really exciting. And once Trump was elected, people were like, I'm buying 2 jet skis. I'm hitting the water now. And it became, Trump water. People were like, let's go. And everyone started buying skis. All right. 2019 was one of the peak sales years in the last 20 years. It was the highest sales year in 20 years. And people go, really? I go, yeah, really. Oh, yeah, I bought a truck that year. Oh, yeah, I bought my house that year. Oh, yeah, I got the biggest pay raise I'd gotten at my company in the last 10 years. Was 2019. All right. So all that being said, was the magazine had to reach a broader audience. And we had a big team. We had a big group of guys. We had probably 11, 12 people writing for us. And on the flip side, we also started doing a lot of video production. And video production video production is a double-edged sword. Video production, very easy to get ad money. Very easy to get people to be like, hey, listen, I'll pay you if you wear these pair of sunglasses, or I'll pay you to wear these board shorts, or I'll pay you to wear this life vest, or I'll pay you to ride this jet ski, or whatever it is. So suddenly, a lot of money coming in. Okay, great. But unlike the magazine, you can't put 11 people on camera. You can't, because the audience doesn't know who am I following? Who's the main character? Because we look at things cinemagraphically. And we're like, well, wait a minute. I don't know who to follow. So suddenly the YouTube channel became the Kevin Shaw Show. And I resented it. I didn't want the Watercraft Journal to be about me. It wasn't me. All right. I have a face for radio. I am not, there are far more handsome guys who tan. Hello, red-faced ginger. All right. Underside, super white underside of my arm, red face. Okay. God did not design Irishmen to be out on jet skis all day long. There's a reason Ireland is a cold, wet island under perpetual cloud cover. All right. We're not genetically prepared for this. So, yeah, I just was like, I didn't really want the YouTube channel to be me. All right. Because it puts me front and center. And so Kevin is the Watercraft Journal. And I was like, well, that's really unfair to everyone else who writes for the magazine. And it was hard in that sense. That's why you're the perfect candidate for the Explorer Pro. Mike's got jokes. So anyhow, you're not invited to our ride, Mike. Anyway, so that was kind of the evolution of how the magazine went one way and the YouTube channel went another way. And I thought, oh, well, maybe we can imbue more personality into the YouTube channel, or maybe I can be silly and snarky and make jokes and have it be light. And then I had people complaining. And I mean, not just complaining to me. They were actually trying to cancel the Watercraft Journal. They're reaching out to advertisers and saying, he's so mean and he's so condescending and they get upset and they would try to cancel me. And I'm like, dude, really? This is how soft you are? Was that we can't make jokes? Okay, cool. Fine. So that's why I told Cody that we're not doing any more comments in the comment section. I'm staying out of the comment section as well. And I tell people, if you have a serious tech question, you must email me. Now, the problem is that I still get more emails than I can answer and carve out time for. And so what I'm on the fence about is now having to put up a Patreon account and saying, listen, if you're serious about me spending a half an hour to give you a very well-written, detailed answer with hyperlinks and part numbers and all that kind of crap, I'll tell you what my hourly rate is, and you can pay half that. I'll give you half an hour of my time. But that's kind of how it goes, because I got other stuff to do. And I can't be a personal consultant and helping people buy whatever, or helping people pick what jet ski they want to buy. It's tough. It's really tough. I got other stuff to do. So, and I know I've talked about it. I talk about it too much because I'm still on the fence about it. I hate the idea. I hate the idea of it, but it's also one of those necessary things that it's like, ugh. So, and of course, no one likes to pay for anything online because all of us who grew up with the internet, we got it for free. So, again, double-edged sword. Now, why I bring up the magazine versus the YouTube channel is there is something that people hate. Mainly Americans or Western culture. We hate it, but then we also clamor for it. We beg for it because we're hypocrites. And that is, honestly, people of authority. Anyone who speaks with an authoritative voice, and I don't mean that in literally my voice being authoritative, but in the sense of they speak with confidence, they speak with the collective wisdom of years. People want that because they go, good, I can turn to that guy, and that guy knows what he's talking about, and hopefully he'll give me some advice. Great. And that could be Jerry Gaddis, Greg Gaddis. That could be JP from JP Racing. That could be Jesus Garcia from Riva Racing. That could be anyone from Riva Racing. That could be, dude, the list goes on and on and on. So there's a lot of authoritative voices out there. There's just a lot. But the difference is that few put themselves out there as much as I do, because I generate a weekly live podcast, and then I put up daily video. It's a lot of content. And so what happens is that I come off authoritative, whether I really am or am not. All right. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been in the industry for 18 years. But am I building racecraft? Am I going out actively racing? No, I'm not. All right. There's no skis blown apart in my garage that I'm building motors on. I'm building old cars. I'm building classic cars. All right. All of this stuff, for the most part, is secondhand knowledge. I know the right people to ask. I ask people questions. All right. I'm inquisitive. So I go, okay, hey, question. When you guys tear apart an engine, what are you finding? Oh, okay, yeah. Can you send me pictures? Yeah, here's some pictures. Oh, interesting. What do you think caused that? Oh, well, that happened and that happened and that happened. And that failed here and that let go at this RPM. Okay, great. So what happens is I have the bad habit of coming off and sounding like I know it all. I know I do. I know I do. I'm saying this making fun of myself. All right. It's my timbre in my voice. It is my body language. And it is just unfortunately how I speak. And I rub people the wrong way. They're like, he's an a-hole. I'm like, oh, okay, if you say so. I'm not going to argue because I know I can be short and I know I can be an a-hole. So, okay. You're probably right. Okay. But very rarely do I die on a hill. Very rarely. You'll see in the comment sections where I would actually get into it, where I go, hey, I got to eat crow on this one. These are the sources that I cited. This is the information that I got. This is the information I worked on. This is everything that made me formulate an opinion. And if that opinion is proved wrong, I'm going to eat crow. And the funny thing about that, I always laugh at people who get mad at politicians who change their mind. Now, flip-flopping is one thing. But if they say, for the longest time I was, okay, here's an example, and I'm going to say it, and it's going to polarize people, and I apologize, but it's the best example that comes to mind, all right? Donald Trump is not a rock-ribbed Reagan Republican, all right? Donald Trump is not a hardcore conservative. Donald Trump, though, is a nationalist populist. He believes in America first, and you should take care of your own home first before you worry about your neighbor's house. Okay? I'm not going to bat saying vote Trump, blah, blah, blah. That's not what this is about. But what I'm going to say was during the election, 2016, all the hardcore Republicans were like, well, used to be pro-choice. You were pro-choice for years. You were pro-choice for years. And he goes, you're right. I used to be pro-choice. I was pro-choice for most of my life. He goes, and then his sister-in-law either had a miscarriage or a stillbirth. And the depression that hit his family. And he saw it firsthand. And he goes, you know what? That's a baby. That's not an embryo. That's not an imaginary non-baby. That's a baby. And the word fetus means offspring in Greek, guys, or in Latin. So if you say, well, it's a fetus, you're like, yeah, it's an offspring, McFly. What's the etymology of that word? It's Latin for baby. Click. So anyways, he saw that, and it was like early 2000s, and he's like, oh, abortion kills babies. And that's what click. And that was the switch in his head that he says, I'm now pro-life. And people go, oh, well, he flip-flopped. And he goes, no, I changed my mind. And there's a difference between flip-flopping and changing your mind. And I happily changed my mind. Greg Gaddis, I don't know if you guys watch this. I live on camera changed my opinion based on the information he gave me in regards to the 1630 Ace engine. I was like, 1630 Ace engine is a pile of burning trash. He's like, no, it's not. It's great. It's one of the best engines. I go, okay, prove me wrong. And he goes, great. And he rattles off his reasons. And I said, well, what about this and this and this? And he goes, true, but here's why these things fail. And we had this conversation. Guys, we talked about it for probably 25 minutes. Hopefully you were watching because I changed my opinion right there. Okay, great. And it's okay to change your opinion when given new information. So I will happily say I have been wrong more times than I can count live on camera. I have. I've been wrong in the comment section. I've been wrong on camera. And for people to go, Kevin Shaw is always talking about, he's a dumbass. Run, run, run. I'm like, I'm operating off the information that I had. I typically have really good sources, but when confronted with better information, I will change my mind. Hopefully, we are all adult enough to do the same. I would think so. I would hope so. I try to be better. Am I? No. Do I want to be better? Hell yeah. Hopefully, we all do. That's called growing up. Anyway, so all of that adds up to the fact that I come in and I say, this is what I've done. This is the information I have. I literally just said it about the PWC art sponsors with Anthony Raditic. Anthony Raditic has won global championships. Global championships using the PWC art sponsors that I felt were horrible. I mean, really bad. I'm like, these aren't great. They do not hook in a corner. And he's like, dude, they work great. I love them. Okay. So, you know, you're getting results. Clearly you're getting results, but I want to know why they're better. I want to know what you're feeling. And I didn't get that information out of Anthony in our interview because, quite frankly, I didn't want to spend a half an hour on that. So, but back to that 1630 Ace video. Well, it wasn't a 1630 Ace video. It was the interview I did with Greg Gaddis. We talked about it. We talked for 10, 15 minutes about it. Maybe, no, I exaggerated by saying 25 minutes. But it was like 10, 15 minutes. We talked about the Ace motor. And he goes, Kevin, I'm telling you right now, it's a great engine. He says, I think it's a superior engine to the SVHO engine. And I'm like, you're messing with me. But seriously, that's how it works. So that's the hard thing about an authority, any sort of authority in the limelight, is people want an authority figure, absolutely want an authority figure. Tell me, Dr. Fauci, what should I do to be safe? Well, let me tell you what to do. Okay. We all, and half the country turned to one guy who says, I'm the science. And look where it took us. All right. And then the other side's like, we don't have an authority figure because we don't trust authority figures. We don't trust anyone here. We don't want any advice from any of you guys. And that's kind of how it is here in the jet ski thing. People turn to me or anyone and they say, hey, JP said this in a video, or Greg Gaddis said this in a video, or, Riva got these results, or whatever. And they're operating off the best information they have. And if my opinion or my stance doesn't jive with whatever, now you got to weigh, or you're like, okay, Kevin, where'd you get your information from? And I go, I don't know. I just pulled it out of my ass. Don't listen to me. But if you talk to JP and he goes, well, here, I got results I can show you. Here's the video. And this is what we did. Okay, well, listen to him. All right. That's fine. That's making an informed decision. I would agree with that. I would 100% agree with that. So what, Mike, are you getting bounced out of here? Get those stupid comments out of here. So, what has been so interesting about the Watercraft Journal and in my, what we've done thus far is, and I hinted at it earlier in the beginning of this video, and I know we're already over an hour and I'm pretty much done, is we've birthed a lot. And I'm talking, I can count 6. So half a dozen. I can count 6 people who worked for me or worked with me who've gone off to try to do the same thing that we do. They've gone off to do a website or a web magazine or a web store or a YouTube channel or all of the above, social media channels, blah, 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 blah. And hey, that's great. That's fine. By all means. It sucks that I spent all this time, showing you how to do it. And then you go, you know what? Screw Kevin. I'm going to do it my way. Okay, fine. But you know what? I did the same damn thing. All right. I worked for a publisher, digital publisher in the automotive industry. And after launching the Watercraft Journal, I launched Mopar Connection magazine. But it was also addressing a niche audience that they weren't addressing. So I felt like, well, they're not going to do that, so I'm going to talk to them. Okay, great. So all that's to be said is that I've had no problem with people bouncing and doing their own thing or mimicking what we do. And okay, fine. The hard thing is knowing where they came from, meaning the Watercraft Journal, and then trashing us or actively trying to take revenue from us. Because I'm like, dude, I'm very big live and let live. I love to live and let live. I think healthy competition is fine. I think a rising tide raises all ships. I work with guys currently who have their own YouTube channels. I love them. They do great. They add to the equation. I help them get product from my own advertisers so that they can produce content both for me and them. I don't have a problem with it. But when these guys start doing I'm not those guys, but when people that I've trained say, hey, oh, you shouldn't work with the Watercraft Journal, they suck, work with me instead. I'm like, okay, well, now you're taking revenue that I pay my team with, I keep my lights on with, I feed my kids with. All right. We've gone from friendly to now combative. We're now competition. And I don't want to do that. All right. I don't compete with Pro Rider. Pro Rider and I don't compete. We're talking to very little overlap between our two audiences. Okay. That's it. I'm talking to a far more casual audience than Pro Rider is. Pro Rider is a very hardcore, race centric, 50-50 sit down to stand up centric audience. I'm talking to a near parallel of the buying market. So I don't look at Pro Rider as competition, and I really don't think they look at me as competition either. I don't think they sit there and shiver in their boots going, what's Watercraft Journal up to? Oh, no. They don't care. They don't care. All right? The ratties do not give a damn about what we do. And that's fine. That's fine. All right? But it gives jet ski enthusiasts another channel or another outlet to look at. Great. That's awesome. I think that's positive. But when I have people who write for me who split and start a parallel web magazine, and then they start calling Riva Racing and saying, hey, Kevin sucks. You should advertise with me. All right. What the hell? And I think it's really funny because it's like, I'm not picking these fights. I'm not picking these fights. I really am not. But the difference is that I've won every one of them. Of the 6 who've left, 4 of them, their ventures have gone tits up. I've crushed all of them. And I mean that, me. I've crushed 4 out of the 6. I'm devilishly competitive. And I'm not saying that as a threat. I'm just saying that it's like, that's my worst nature. I'm like, I don't like that part of me. Because I get all wound up and then I work till 2 a.m. and it's like, dude, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. You know, it puts a lot of steam behind the magazine, but it's not worth it. It's not show friends, it's show business. That's pretty funny. But no, that's not the intent behind this whole thing. This thing is meant to be fun. Quite frankly, the other magazine is absolutely taking up way more of my time. This, it's been really hard for me to even be motivated to come up with topics for our live sessions. It really has. Because I consider the work, a lot of the work to already have been done. So when people go, hey, Kevin, why does X happen? Or why does this behavior occur on this watercraft? I go, I've already done the work. You can go to the YouTube channel and type it in and you'll find it. Well, why won't you just tell me? Because I've done the work. I don't want to repeat myself. I've done the work. Now, is that a really arrogant thing to say? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's like, oh, well, dude, just tell them. I'm like, no, because I have other things to do. I'm running out of time. I'm out of time. So that's the hardest thing, for me is time management, being on top of this stuff and checking things off. Well, I appreciate that, Stephen. I do it quite frankly because of you guys. It's a lot of fun. I get thank you notes. I get appreciation from a lot of people, and I know I'd miss it. Just rewatching footage from Mudbug this yesterday, just from this morning or yesterday, because I got the final draft last night, and watching it, I sat there and just sat back and to watch the footage of me with my daughter And with all the guys out there riding, and Brad Burney and David and Jason and all these guys who were out in the water, and Greg and Kylie, and I'm like, this is why I do this. This is why I do this. You know, I mean, it's like I'm looking at Billy right now. I'm looking at Billy. We appreciate it, brother. I'm looking at that comment, and I'm like, I haven't been riding with Billy in so freaking long, and I love Billy and his wife. I consider them friends. I mean, very dear friends. All right, because of the way that they have treated my family. I'm like, I love these people. I have Christian brotherly love for these people because of how they've been so kind to me and my daughters and my wife. And it's like, okay, so that's why I do it. You know, do I get that out of the Mopar community? You know what? Most of those guys are a bunch of salty old drag racers who tell me to go pound sand. Okay, fine. And thank you, Billy. I appreciate that. But this is a little bit more communal. You know, it's a little bit more communal. That's why it kind of burns a little bit when you do have people who you consider brothers and your family who turn around and stab you in the back and, you know, rip off what you're doing, or, you know, go behind you and talk to your advertisers and be like, oh yeah, you should do it. Oh, that guy sucks. You know, do you hear what he said? Oh, he's sexist. Oh, I'm like, dude, I raised 3 girls. I live in a house of estrogen. All right. My dog's a girl. Sexist. Oh my gosh. You guys are morons. Ugh. Anyways, guys. No, it's meant to be for the community. It's meant to be fun. I regret that the Watercraft Journal YouTube channel is me. I do. I shouldn't be first and foremost. I'm not the TV personality, you know. So that's the hard thing. Is something that I'm uncomfortable being the face of the Watercraft Journal. That should be the face of Lucky Charms. No, I'm joking. But you know, it's just kind of how it's evolved, and where it's going to go is a curiosity, and it might eventually gravitate to just being video. Or I might dial video back and only do reviews and get rid of the live session. I had people complain about the interviews, and I thought a lot of people would really have appreciated and liked the interviews. So I was actually going to put up a little poll and see what people thought, but I'm not interested in interviewing other YouTube channels. I have zero interest in interviewing YouTube channels. I'm going to say that right now. Okay. I have because no other YouTube channel really interests me. And it doesn't bring anything new to the table. I'd rather bring industry people in. I'd rather bring professional athletes in. I'd rather bring parts developers. I'd rather bring in representatives from the OEs. I'd rather talk to people who actually matter to this industry. Bringing in another talking head is MSNBC. It's just, what do you think? This is what I think. I think this. Why do I think this? Dude, it means nothing. It means nothing. I'd rather bring in people who actually affect change in our industry so that you guys get inside baseball on, oh, so that's how they develop a product. Oh, that's how they make these changes. Oh, so that's what new stuff is coming out. Oh, wow, that's interesting. Rather than me talking to some jackwagon who's like, oh, I did this ride. It was rough. Oh, really? I've done that ride and it was smooth. Well, that's funny. Who cares? I don't care. So anyway, that's where I want to take the live sessions. There's less talking about me and more talking with people who affect change, who actually have an impact on our industry. That I think is far more interesting to me. I would hope it would be more interesting to you guys. And when you're tired and cranky, that's pretty funny. M. Roz, I'm putting this one up. This is actually really funny. Your funny facial expressions and hand gestures crack me up. When you are tired and cranky, those are some of your best live chats. Screw you! All right, I appreciate that. That was pretty funny. But yeah, so I think that's where I want to take the live sessions. I still want to do reviews and rides and stuff like that, because eventually, here's the funny thing. How many people have been inspired by watching a ride video? I know I was. I did a whole video on Kevin and Corey's video when they went to the Bimini or went to the Bahamas on a Sea-Doo and a Sea-Doo boat. Absolutely bring back movie trivia. That's pretty funny. All right. You guys want to do some movie trivia? I got some stickers. We could do movie trivia if you want to do stupid movie trivia. Because I'm pretty much done. It's already an hour and 20 minutes. All right. I have a Marine Patrol. Have the Marine Patrol on. I have questions about jet skis and manatees. Ooh. You know, my brother-in-law is a retired Master Chief of the U.S. Coast Guard. I wonder if I can get him on. I doubt he'd even want to be on because it'd be like, okay, we're asking Coast Guard questions. But yeah, I wonder if I can get Ted. That'd be kind of cool. Ted's an interesting dude. He also was game and wildlife. And I asked him about Bigfoot because he lived out in North Carolina. I'm like, come on, dude. I know you guys. I know you've seen Bigfoot. He's like, there's no such thing as Bigfoot. I'm like, that's just because the men in black suits don't let you talk about it because they airlift the bodies out. He's all over the Appalachians and the Pacific Northwest. Why does the U.S. government not want us to know about Sasquatch? Why? Is it because they're an advanced race and they bury their own dead? Sasquatch. Yeah, Henry, your super chat was dumb, and so I'm not going to answer it. I don't think I missed any other super chats. Let me double check. Otherwise, we're done. David. Oh, here we go. David writes, speaking of YouTube, the playlists have not updated with the new software. Not bagging on you, just saying. Oh, so they're not in. Maybe I need to go in manually on the back end and add them to the live sessions. Thank you, David. That's a good point. Okay, I'll check that out. Thank you, David. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of times when I go through the new software, the YouTube channel won't monetize it either. I have to go in through the back end and monetize it. What stand-up did you ride? SXR 800 was my favorite. SXR 800. I think it was a 05. And I answered Cleves. All right, David, that's a good. Lori Lightfoot is a Sasquatch. I thought she was a Beetlejuice. How about Billy? Billy doesn't want to be on this thing. She's a chupacabra. You know what chupacabra stands for, right? goat sucker. They suck the blood out of goats. That's pretty funny. All right, guys, this was fun. This was fun. All right, I didn't even bring up this. Oh, in case you guys were wondering, this was the art I had ready. Yeah, we're number one. Henry, no, like when you were in your early 20s. My brother had. I didn't have a stand up in my 20s. I had a 97 GP 1200 that had triple Navi carbs, a ProTech pipe, ProTech nozzle and stator, and a Scat Track prop, if I'm not mistaken. When you said you rode stand-ups back in the day. Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up with 440s and 550s. My brother had a couple, had a square nose, and then he had a round nose. He had a 701. He had a 751. We rode those all the time. We rode his Super Jets. Yeah, always rode his Super Jets. All right, Henry, you got the last super chat, and then I'm done. Henry writes, I like the magazine so much that I'd gladly write for it for free. And do you think $4,800 for a 1999 Superjet in fair condition is fair? You have written for us for free, Henry, and you're welcome to do it again. I appreciate it. I know I bust your chops all the time, but it's all meant in good jest. $4,800 for a 99 Superjet. Guy. Well, considering an SXR is going for $885 to $9, and you think it's in good condition, I mean, it's not cut up or messed with. See if you can get it down to about 42 to 45. But yeah, I think you're in the ballpark. That still feels high to me, especially as we have banks going insolvent right now. Oh boy. So I think that's just a hair high. It's fair. It's on the high end of fair. If you can get 45, I think I would be comfortable with 45. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'm glad we could do this. I know there's a lot of talking about myself and the business and the magazine. Next week is going to be a lot of fun. We are bringing on Mark Gomez, who is easily one of the most talented writers in our industry. Mark Gomez is a phenomenal writer. He's writing Sea-Doos he is not. He's writing Kawasaki's. He just got second place at the Mark Hahn on a 310 LXS. And I've known him for years. He's great. And I'm very excited. He will be next Monday's guest. So look out for Mark Gomez. And then we've got a representative from corporate of one of the big three coming on the 27th, Monday the 27th. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.